Thank you so much for joining us tonight for the Youth Commission Candidate Forum. Welcome. For those of you who don't know me, I am Marnie McNiff. I am the chair of the Brookfield Youth Commission. I'm going to let the students introduce themselves as they take over the meeting, but I'm going to do just a little bit of an introduction. First, I want to introduce the members, the adult members of the Youth Commission. We have Ron Jaffe, Ernesto Davila, Sean way in the back, and Ben, who's going to be our timekeeper tonight. So for the candidates that are up here, if you didn't hear me before, he'll be holding up a sign when there's 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, and when your time is up. The Youth Commission is a municipal youth advocacy board. In recent years, we've organized civic and extracurricular events, promoted the concerns of youth in our community, and conducted surveys. Our mission is to promote civic involvement and professional interests among young people while providing them a space to participate in town government. We help make sure their voice is heard in both town and school decisions. About our event tonight, this is primarily an event put on by the youth to hear about issues that are of concern to them. All high school students were given the opportunity to submit questions for tonight, and our Youth Commission student members went through those questions and decided on the final 2 questions per board for this evening. Important notes, all questions came from and were prioritized by students, and no candidate running for any position for this term was involved or had input in those questions. There was a little bit of confusion with the News Times saying that candidates for first selectmen, Steve Dunn and Tara Carr, were not going to be present tonight. That was never said, ever. We always knew that both were coming, so we're sorry that that was a misprint. We were not contacted about that, so sorry about that. How we're going to run things is each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves. Then following that, there will be 2 questions per board. Candidates will have 90 seconds to answer the question, and we ask that you try and keep to the timeline so we can keep things moving. Finally, a reminder that while this is a public meeting, it is primarily for Brookfield's youth to hear from the candidates. We appreciate everyone coming out, but there will not be questions from the public, and we ask that you please be respectful to both the students and all candidates. I am now going to turn things over to our students, who will introduce themselves and get everything moving.
Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa Greenstein and I'm a junior at Brookfield High School.
Hi, I'm Kayla Zimmerman and I'm a senior here at Brookfield High School.
Hi, my name is Brooke Sanford and I'm a junior here at Brookfield High School.
Hi, I'm Maria and I'm a sophomore at Brookfield High School.
Hello, I'm Evan Lucas and I'm a sophomore at Brookfield High School.
Now we will begin with our candidate forum. Thank you for coming.
So the process tonight, the order for the boards will be in the same order, left to right, as they are on the ballot. For each board, a coin toss will determine which party's candidates will go first. Each board will be given 2 questions, and each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to each question. At the end, each candidate will have an opportunity to give a 1-minute closing remark.
Tonight's coin toss has already determined that the Republican candidates will get to go first for all 3 boards. If we could have the Board of Selectmen come and sit at the chairs right here, we will begin questioning you.
Everyone could just have a seat. Okay, Okay, I just want to thank you guys for coming out. It means a lot to the students to get to talk to you guys personally and hear your feedback on some things. So, yeah. Okay, so you're going to have your 2 minutes after I read the question, and Ben down here will be keeping track. Okay, so you're going to have your introduction first for 2 minutes, and then we'll move on to the question. So. Okay. Yeah. Do you have your?
I'm just going to sit a little bit forward. There's a bright light in my eyes. So good evening, everybody, and thank you to the Youth Commission. Thank you to the leaders and the volunteers who lead these fine kids through this process. I think it's so commendable. I'm proud of each and every one of you for stepping up and taking time out of your very, very busy high school schedules to be a part of something so phenomenal. And I hope that you're learning a lot about not just how our town runs and local government, but part of being something greater than yourself. So thank you all, and I look forward to meeting you more if we haven't yet met. But my name is Tara Carr, and I'm your sitting first select woman. For those of you who don't know me, I was born and raised in this area. I actually went to St. Joseph's School in Brookfield. I attended Brookfield High School my freshman year. In fact, I performed Grease right here on this stage. And I ended up going to New Milford High School, studied abroad to Brazil my junior year, and I ended up graduating from New Milford High School. Straight out of high school, I joined the Army. I enlisted as a private. And then I served for the next 25 years on active duty. I ended up obtaining a ROTC scholarship to Syracuse University, and while I was at Syracuse, I studied in Hong Kong and also in Washington, D.C. to learn more about our greater government. Upon graduating, I was commissioned as a second lieutenant. I met my husband in the Army. I've served all over the world. I've been to more than 60 countries. I lived in China. I speak Mandarin, Italian, and Portuguese. I have 4 beautiful children. We moved back to Brookfield to raise our children here, probably very much like the reason why your families live here and raise you here. We wanted to be a part of a great community and wonderful schools. I have a lot more to share, but I look forward again to getting to know each of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Dunn. I'm running for First Selectman. Obviously, I'm sitting here. Currently, I sit on the Board of Selectmen as Selectman. Prior to that, I was the first Selectman for 6 years. During our administration, we got a lot of things done. We got 4 corners done, a lot of the street lighting, sidewalks, seating areas, the pocket park, finally we got that done. We built a new school, Candlewood Lake Elementary School, probably, I'm told, the most beautiful school, elementary school in the state of Connecticut. We did that, we got it built with 60-some-odd% of the people in town, 64%, voting yes for that school. We are under budget, comfortably under budget on that school, which is a miracle in Brookfield, given some of the projects we've done. We're very happy with that building. I moved to Brookfield in 1983. And we moved here for the same reasons everybody else does. Good schools, safe neighborhoods, great community, lots of nice people, and we just loved it. And about a year and a half after I moved here, I got my dream job offer. Unfortunately, my dream job offer was on Wall Street. And I spent 35 years commuting to Wall Street from Brookfield. That's how much I cared about Brookfield. We could have moved closer to the city, we could have gone down to Stamford, or we could have gone to Westchester, but I did not want to take my kids out of our schools. I thought this was an incredible community, so that's what I did. I commuted. After I graduated? No, do you graduate from a job? No. After I retired, I then was active in a lot of things in town, and I ran for First Selectman. I think the job that we did as First Selectman and the Board of Selectmen while I was running the town was run incredibly well. We got the boards talking to each other. When I took office, the Board of Finance was not talking to the Board of Ed at all. They were, when we finished, they worked cooperatively together, and that's what we need in town. We need to keep civility, kindness, and compassion. Thank you.
Thank you. Will the next candidate start?
Hi, I'm Bob Belden. I'm running for Selectman. I also would like to thank the Youth Commission for everything you did to organize this. This is great. And I want to thank everybody who's here for coming. I wanted to talk about three things: family, career, and volunteering. And I'll start with family. We moved here in 1988. It's 35 years ago. I had 5 kids go through the Brookfield schools, graduating from 2001 through 2012. They're all grown. They have families of their own, and are doing really great. We have 9 grandkids, and they keep us busy like you can't imagine. And my wife was a teacher at St. Joseph's School here in Brookfield, and retired in 2012 to take care of those aforesaid grandkids. Second, I want to talk about career, and I'm going to talk to the students about this. In high school, I loved computers. They were new in the 1970s, and they were exciting and something I wanted to do for my life. So after graduating from Dartmouth and Harvard with degrees in economics and management, I joined IBM in 1980. I worked there for 42 years, impacting the computer business. I was the vice president of that company, managed huge organizations, and it was a very, very fulfilling career. So I'm taking today to the kids: find what you love and follow it. Third is volunteering. After being that dad who volunteered for everything when my kids were young, I decided in the early 2000s to raise my hand, like many of the candidates here tonight, to do things for the town. I ran for office in 2003. I served 8 years on the Board of Finance, 8 years on the Board of Ed. I was the chairman of the YMCA. I worked in the polling places. I've done about almost every volunteer job you can imagine in this town. It's been great. So I wanted to thank you all for coming. I think this is a great thing that we do, and I'll finish up here. Thank you.
Thank you for all your introductions. We're going to get started on the questions. So we're going to go in the same order, and Ben will still be holding up the time. So our first question tonight is, what's the most important thing the Board of Selectmen can do to address the social, safety, and economic needs of Brookfield's youth?
That's a very good question. So there's 2 facets to our budget. One is for town operations and one is for the Board of Education. And all of that is managed through multiple layers. I'm not sure if your principal talked to you about the budget in his presentation on town government to you, whenever that was today or earlier. But in order to address the needs of the youth, it has to be managed through communication, through the budget, right? So as the budget process starts, the needs will be brought forward through the to the Board of Selectmen from the school Board of Ed. And the Board of Ed starts that process early, in about December timeframe, and by the time they muddle through what's assessed to be the needs for that current year, and then in planning 10 years out, it's brought through the process. The Board of Selectmen have the first go at it, and then it's brought through all the way down to the Board of Finance, where they make the final cuts and deliver it to the voters, and then it goes to referendum. So it's through a process of understanding the needs through the Board of Education, through the school system, all the way through the superintendent, and then delivered over to the town side, which ultimately is decided upon by the voters, which means anyone 18 years or older who resides in the town of Brookfield and is registered to vote, and that primarily comes from your families. So, thank you.
Thank you for your response.
Thank you. Yeah, we have in Brookfield, we've been working. I was a volunteer for 14 years with Brookfield Baseball. I was in the Boy Scouts for 20 years. I coached lacrosse, I coached soccer. I wasn't a very good coach at either of those things, not having grown up with them. I was a coach at Odyssey of the Mind with 5 state championships. But here's what we have a problem in Brookfield for our youth. We don't have places for our youth to go. I think we should take Center Elementary School and make it a community center and put in it things that our students and our children want. And we could make Center Elementary School an incredible resource for our town. Our kids don't have a teen center. They don't have anywhere to go. When my kids were growing up, they all gathered at Mobile and got the $1.99 bacon, egg, and cheeses. And that was about as far as the community center went. But we need to do that. We need to encourage our youth. We need to nurture them. We need to have places where they can meet safely and join in and do things together. And I think one of the first things, Bob, and I would suggest this to Bob, and I think he'd agree, we would do is to form a new Center Elementary School committee, look at that school, determine what we can do with it. Half of that school is pretty new with all steel construction on the inside, and make it a true community center. And I think we can do it at a reasonable cost for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
So after you guys stole all the thunder, I'll repeat a lot of what you both said, because you're right. Things to do in Brookfield. My kids have always told me this. There's not enough things to do, Dad. And if you think about kids that are growing up, whether they're young kids, middle school kids, or high school kids, what you need is interesting things to do and interesting places to do them. And we have some of that. We've got a really good Parks and Rec organization in town. We've got wonderful after-school and sports activities. And part of what you've got to think about as you think about school budgets and town budgets and different organizations is listen to the youth and say, what would be that place other than mobile that would be a exciting, fun, and enriching thing to do. As kids get older, it also morphs into jobs, right? Kids want to get some after-school experience, and so part of the economic development in town is to attract businesses that would have after-school jobs and things like that. So I'm always approached it as a listen to the people who are most affected, get their ideas, and then feed that into our budgeting process and feed that into our how we run the town. So thank you.
Thank you so much for all your responses. So for this next question, we're going to start with the last person, and then we're going back to the first one, so it's all fair. Okay, so your second question is, given the recent wave of development in Brookfield, how will you incorporate youth voice and ideas into your decisions? Yeah, so we're going to start with you.
Okay, so the question, can you repeat the question?
Yes, so question one more time. Given the recent wave of development in Brookfield, how will you incorporate youth voice and ideas in your decisions?
We're going to listen. It's as simple as that. It's you have to ask the questions, and you have to then act on the input that your youth commission and the school gives you. We have had a lot of development in Brookfield. There's a lot of interesting stuff going in Four Corners. There's new types of housing, and they demand us to think hard about what will we offer to our youth, as I said before, in terms of jobs, in terms of activities, in terms of places. And it all has to be balanced, I'll be very frank, in terms of affordability, right? In terms of what we can afford, in terms of taxes for the town. And we just have to work our way through listening and getting through a lot of decisions.
Thank you.
I'm next.
Yes, you are next.
Yeah, it's critically important to get the input of everyone in town, including our younger residents, who are hopefully going to want to live here after they graduate from high school and college. And that's one of the complaints I hear from people is, my kids can't afford it, there's nothing to do when they're here. It's great schools, everything's fine, but they don't have that impetus. And one of the things we did, and I'll never forget this, Liam, who was on the youth commission for many years, came to me when I was first selectman and said, hey, the charter has a youth commission and it's defunct. There's nobody on it, it's not working. And he said, can we put it back together? And we did. And now we have the youth commission, and we're all sitting here talking to students because of that, because Liam took that initiative and we followed up on it. And I think that's an incredibly good thing. We need more students involved. We need our youth involved in government. It's amazing how many students do not know what a first selectman is. Now, I know they're busy, and I know they've got TikTok to go to and lots of things to work on, but we need to involve our youth more. And you know what? You're invited to any meeting of the Planning Commission. That's where we plan everything in town. If you want something to go, if you want a skate park, John Lucas has been working for about 5 years to develop an interest in building a new skate park. Isn't that a great idea? He's already raised some money for it. So those are the sorts of things, and he's involved youth. And that's what we need to do, get that youth involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
So when it comes to economic development, I think it's important to understand what the vision is for the future of the youth. How is your generation different from mine, from theirs? What is it that, where do you see yourself after you graduate from Brookfield High School? Do you want to live here? Do you want to go to college? Do you want to pursue something completely different? Do you want to join the Army? Do you want to travel the world? Whatever it is that your dreams are, and how does that fit into your life vis-a-vis Brookfield, right? So in my administration, I have an open door policy. I look forward to talking and meeting every single resident across town, especially our youth, our seniors alike. Everybody has something valuable to contribute, and I'm always very open and willing to listen and have those conversations and learn from all of you. I am a firm believer in lifelong learning in all capacities. It doesn't have to be college, so if you do want to pursue another avenue and stay here in Brookfield, what is it that you think we need for our town? Is it more affordable apartments? Is it more business? Is it more kind of facilities for skilled work? Is it warehouses? Is it computer labs? Whatever it may be, I'm interested in really willing and wanting to learn more about what it is you all have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our candidates for being here tonight, and we ask that you guys come off the stage now, and we'll move on to the Board of Finance. Thank you.
First off, I just want to say thank you all for coming tonight. It means a lot. So you will each have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves and do your opening statements, starting on the farthest right and to the left.
Hi, good evening. My name is Andy Kane. I moved to Brookfield in 1985. I've grown up in Connecticut since I was born there in 1957. Grew up in Trumbull. I was born in Bridgeport. I went to private schools in Trumbull and in Fairfield, and then I went to college in Connecticut as well. I graduated college. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and worked a variety of jobs in college and like everybody, Caldor, places like that. I had done some incredible things, some things I don't even want to talk about. And then I got a job in college working for a company. A friend of mine his father was a controller at a company, and I got a job working in Stanford in the tax department. And I ended up meeting people who worked for the Internal Revenue Service there. And then I went on to work 39 years for the Internal Revenue Service. Done all the kind of things you see on TV, more court cases, fraud. Primarily, my background is in computers and in fraud management and in large-scale data management. People say, how can you stay there that long and not become bored? Well, it's a very large organization. I would work a few years in one area and then I'd be reassigned to something else, and it just never ended. So that's the background that I have. That's the things that I look for. I have my kids went to Brookfield High School. They went to schools in town. I've been in this auditorium many times for productions that they were involved in and things that they were involved in. I've also coached, not coached, I was also involved in Boy Scouts and in volunteer things with my church, taking folks to summer camp. Thanks a lot.
Okay, hi, I'm Brian Hoffman. I'd also like to thank everybody who came out tonight and to the Youth Commission. This is actually the first time I'm getting a chance to talk to a larger group, so I really appreciate the opportunity. I've been here in Brookfield for 27 years with my wife Lisa, who's there in the back. And we raised 2 children here who went through Brookfield schools. Some people may know me from way back. My kids are a little bit older, but I did coach baseball and soccer and things like that. I've just finished a 37-year career with IBM, mostly in financial leadership positions. So now that I've retired, I have more time. Based on my background and thinking about how can I give back to the community, I decided to run for the Board of Finance. So I'll just spend a minute on kind of my background from my time at IBM, so you can understand kind of how these things connect. Like I said, I was mostly financial leadership positions. One of my last jobs, I actually ran IBM's financing business. So that was a multi-thousand person organization that ran a $10 billion business across the world. I was the chief financial officer for IBM's largest business, the IBM consulting business. I also ran, or from a financial perspective, ran a lot of other businesses in IBM throughout my career. And I managed successfully a lot of budgets. Some budgets the size of Brookfield's, some a lot larger. So, all of that experience, when I looked at what can I do to help this community, I said, the Board of Finance is probably the best place that I can make an impact with all of those years that I spent learning these skills. So that's why I'm here on the stage. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. First, I would like to thank the Youth Commission. I'm a mother of 3. 2 of my 2 kids graduated Brookfield High School a few years back, and I have an 8th grader. And looking at you guys, I'm super impressed because this takes a lot of work. And thank you for doing all this. My background, so we moved to Brookfield in 2015. So I've been here for 8 years. Our family moved here, and then in 2019 we moved our business here. I'm a small business owner, been in business as an entrepreneur for 20 years now. Started in the basement of our home and made our way doing 5,000 over a period of 20 years. So learned a lot, grew a lot. My education is very, very different than what I do at present, and that's probably a good, you don't need to study what you practice in life. So I did bachelor's in computer science, and then I did master's in marketing communication, and then became a business owner. So as a business owner, I have been balancing budgets and finance planning all my life. And that's why I thought this was the best way for me to give back to the community. I really love the community. We love the schools. We love Brookfield. It's a small town. It's a beautiful little community, and I hope to kind of give back to the community by contributing to the Board of Finance.
Thank you. Now, again, moving right to left, this is the first question. When working on creating the town's budget each year, what are the cornerstones of how you would make financial decisions?
Left.
Starting on the other side, right to left.
Well, Brookfield is very fortunate that it has a very well-defined process of creating the budget. It starts with department reports that get submitted to the selectmen, department budget requests. They get consolidated. There's a timetable. It then goes to this is both from the municipal side and from the Board of Education side. It then gets consolidated, and then it's sent over to the Board of Finance, and they interview the various department heads and go through you know, what they think is a reasonable fee, a reasonable budget for the year. I think the thing that's important is not to have predetermined ideas. I think that the most important thing is, in terms of cornerstones, is to challenge these expenses and look for alternatives. Is there better ways to do things? Is there more cost-effective ways to do things? Is there ways to consolidate things? How are other towns? What is the cost per capita for that particular cost in another town? These are standard techniques that any analyst would use. I don't think we do enough of that in Brookfield. I don't think we look about enough and say, what are other towns spending on this? You know, when you do a school, what is the cost per square foot of the school? Do other towns build it for less money than we do? If so, how? And I think that's my background is lends me to those types of questions, because as an auditor, that's what you're constantly doing. You're constantly questioning people for what is there. You're constantly questioning people for what is not there. Thank you.
Yeah, I look at it that there are kind of two offsetting foundational principles here. The first is, what are the town's priorities, right? And the Board of Education builds those priorities for our education system, and the Board of Selectmen build those for the town, working with all the residents of the town, right? So that's how we decide what the town believes is important. The other side, the foundational, is the affordability, right? How much can we afford to spend for these services that we get, the education that we deliver to our children? And there's always more needs than money available, but we have to be careful that we think about both of those equally. And then in the middle, the Board of Finance can add a lot of value, right? How can we get the most for the money that we're going to spend, and how can we make sure that we optimize every dollar, right? We have to treat each of those dollars as if they're coming out of our own pocket, and they are. They're coming out of the pockets of our residents, right? So that is really the ways that you think about this. Make sure you keep the priorities of the town in mind. Make sure you keep the affordability of what each of our residents can afford to pay, and do the best you can in between those parameters.
So, budgeting a household or budgeting a small business or planning for a town budget, they're not very different. The difference lies in the level of risk, right? In a household, we have a few, lower risks, lower people involved. In a town where many people involved, the risks are higher. But I do think that I agree with both of you here on the cornerstones, but I also want to add that with every decision we make, there's an element of risk, and we all have to weigh our risks based on what is at stake. Our students, our school system, the health of our town, the well-being of our town. Is our town flourishing, growing? Is our town, the better the town is, the better our property values are, and it's all a cyclical, it's all related. It's all, so we kind of have to weigh our risks and look at what is at stake, and then make our decisions as best as we can, keeping all of these cornerstones of affordability, future prospects, future development, all of that together.
Thank you. So now, in order to keep it fair, we'll be beginning on this side now, and then moving backward. All right. In all financial decisions, how will you factor the youth voice and their concerns making your decision to ensure that everyone in the community is represented?
Youth is our future, and I think every decision we make today is for the youth, for our future, and they're constantly part of every decision. So it would be very short-sighted if we made decisions, short-term decisions. So I truly believe that we need to think of our future, our youth, when we start planning, when we start budgeting, when we start looking at what needs to be done, what needs to be planned, 10 years, 20 years ahead. Where are we going? What do we want to achieve? What will the town look like? What is going to be our youth's future? So I think you're front and center in all our decisions.
Yeah, I agree, and I'll add to that. The decisions that we make and the investments we make in this town will benefit and will be paid for by the children of our town, right? The school that we just put in place, we're going to be paying for that school for the next, 15 plus years. So the young adults of our town will be the ones paying for that. If we make the right decisions and this town is a thriving town, that's going to be the town that our children, the people in this commission, the school will want to stay in, right? So every one of the decisions is probably more important for the students than it is, or for the younger adults, than it is for those that are further along in their years. And so I think, as you said, they got to be in the forefront of our decision, because that long-term focus is what's going to enable us to make the right decisions.
Thanks. I'm going to put this back on you guys. If the youth want something, you need to go to the meetings and make your voice heard. That's how it works in town government. We are very fortunate that we have a small town form of government here, where we have meetings with the selectmen. We have public hearings on different things. Most of the meetings include a public comment period. Generally, it's limited to the topics that are at hand, but I have very seldom seen youth at our selectmen meeting. I've very seldom seen, I've never actually seen any youth at our zoning meetings, and I don't believe it's rare that we see anybody at the Board of Finance meetings. Please, come to the meetings, get involved, go down to the town hall, find out more about it, be engaged in the process. Find out, don't just listen to what's on Facebook or these other different social media sites. Go down there, read the minutes, become involved. It's your town too. And if you want to have things change differently, you need to make your things known, what you want known, what your feelings are, where you think things should head. You have a right to an opinion too. People listen to you. That's why we have public hearings and public meetings. So please, come on down. Love to hear from you.
Once again, thank you all. Now, if all Board of Finance candidates could kindly exit the stage, and Board of Education candidates, thank you.
So again, I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Today we're going to start with our 2-minute opening remarks. So if we want to start all the way at the left end of the stage and then work our way this way, you can go ahead.
All right, good evening everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. And my name is Austin Montero. I am running for Board of Education. I'll quickly go over my background, but I want to really go into my why and why I believe this is an important seat and why I want to run for the seat. So my background is born and raised in Danbury, Connecticut, went to school in Danbury, Immaculate High School, played my first varsity basketball game against Brookfield in that gym right through the wall here, so I have fond memories of that. Went to Western Connecticut State University, graduated there in 2005, and then went into the corporate world for about a year, knew that wasn't for me, and started a business, started a gym, CrossFit Danbury. And excelled, and I sold that gym about a decade later, and now I work in still as an entrepreneur in the sales field in digital marketing. So that's my background. That's all the boring stuff, right? Who cares? Why do I want to run for Board of Ed? It's 4 points, really. One is service, right? Service is so important. Emerson has a great quote that life is not about being happy, it's about being of purpose, being useful, being of service, and being able to provide some small change for the better in this world. 2, it's about pursuing academic excellence. We are trending in the wrong direction in Brookfield in our academics. Our math proficiency is anywhere from 40 to 49%. Reading proficiency is 43 to 70%, and our high school has dropped from 37th in the state to 51st in the state over this past year. Third piece of that, parental rights and a voice for parents. We have a big group of parents in this town who feel like they are not being heard. So that is a big reason why I decided to run. And then lastly, really diverse and inclusive voices on this Board of Education. I think we need to really look at that and to make the board as diverse and as inclusive as possible so we can truly represent all the stakeholders here in Brookfield. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Robert Fischetto. I'm running for the Board of Ed. I've been a Brookfield resident for the past 5 years. I grew up on Long Island my whole life, as you guys can probably tell from the accent. My family and I moved up here about 5 years ago. We had never heard of Brookfield before, to be honest, and my wife had found it as we were looking for areas to move just north of the Bronx, which is where I work, where my career is, where I started my career and where I still am. I received a partial scholarship for New York Tech to play soccer. I have 2 master's degrees, one in learning technology and one in school building leadership. I have a long career in education. I've been an educator for 23 years. I started out in Hunts Point in the Bronx as a computer teacher. Then I went to be a 5th grade teacher. Then I was off to middle school, computer teacher, dean, 7th grade teacher. Then I jumped up to the district office to try out to see what I can do up there. Became an administrator at the district level, and it was good to see the different side of education, to see the different areas that you can affect at the district level versus the school level. I'm on a mission to change education. That's really why I'm here. I'm a forward-thinking educator who truly feels that we need a change. I mean, if you look at a picture of a school classroom from 1919 and you compare it to the one today, the only difference is the smartboard, and unfortunately most teachers use a smartboard as a digital blackboard. So we really do need to focus on moving ourselves into the future and utilizing the tools that we have available to improve our students' education. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Sarah Devine. I am a 19-year resident of Brookfield, single mom of 3 kids, 2 in college now and 1 in high school. And this, to me, is the next step that I need to take with what I've been doing. My whole story, my whole adult life is about service, about kids, and about education. That's why I'm here. So what I mean by that is I went to Fairfield University and a bachelor's in math, minor in economics, and have been raising my kids here. And once I was here, I have been giving back to the community, whether volunteering for the PTO, coaching softball, working with basketball, keeping the book for basketball. And I always wanted to give back while staying at home with my kids. And then I started substitute teaching. And once I started substitute teaching, I said, wait, I think I want to get into education even more. And then I've been tutoring and I worked in publishing. So education has always been part of my life. I have now been a middle school math teacher in New Fairfield for 9 years. I have a master's in curriculum in education, and it's serving this community is what I want to keep doing. I have been on the RTC for 6 years now. One of the best things I ever did, we talked about the Youth Commission being defunct and Liam coming back. I was one of the first advisors once he came back. And that was great to have that voice to talk to the kids and see what they needed. So to be back on stage as opposed to sitting in the seats has been pretty cool to watch. So thanks again for putting this together.
Hi, I'm Wendy Youngblood, and I'm a little bit distracted. Tara, I see what you mean about the light, and I'm worried that I have commission across my forehead now. Like you guys, with your impressive resumes, I lived in Brookfield for quite some time. We used to live actually around the corner and moved 2 years ago to the other side of town. And it just shows that there's a lot to keep learning even in this small town. You know, you can continue to learn and grow. So I have 2 daughters who, Ruby Casey just graduated. You may know her, students here. Yeah, I'm Youngblood, she's Casey. And Liv Casey graduated 2 years ago. 3. 2. Yeah. I teach at Chappaq High School. This is my 18th year there. I was at New Milford before that. Prior to that, I did a year in Danbury, and then I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Moscow, and I've taught in Japan as well. So I have a lot of experience with education. I have a doctorate from WestConn in instructional leadership. My dissertation focused on long-term teachers who continue to thrive in the face of challenge and change. And I'm sure that those of you with teaching experience, you know that that's not everybody. So I think that kids need to be heard more, as Bob said earlier. Our job is to listen. And I think we need your voices in for the Board of Ed. You know, you guys are the primary subjects of everything that we as board members would do. So a few more things. I'm a big Liverpool fan. You'll find me Saturdays on my couch watching the Premier League, and I love to cook, and I live with 2 cats that I don't like very much. So that's me.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Sikora. I'm running for the Board of Education. So I actually grew up in California, and through my education decided that I wanted to be a performer, got a degree in music education, and traveled the world performing. Was in Australia for a little while, and Vienna, and as I came back through to the United States and was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, teaching music and theater was sort of my passion and joy, and did that for a little while. And then got a job with Disney and worked in Disney Theatrical, and ended up settling in Connecticut with my husband. And when our tiny baby was little, and we were in a little condo trying to figure out what the future held for us and how we wanted to, where we wanted to grow, where we wanted to buy a house, what community we wanted to be involved in, we found Brookfield. And it was super exciting for us because one of the most important things in our quest was education and the school system, and making sure that we were in a system that we could not only invest ourselves into, but also grow with. And there were all kinds of fun plans when we moved here 8 years ago for the downtown development area and library expansion, and it was clear that this was a thriving education system. We now have a 9-year-old in the new Brookfield, Candlewood Lake Elementary School, and it's been a privilege to watch the teachers and educators and librarians and the staff really implement the curriculum that the current board and past boards have put into place, and it's exciting for me to think about being a part of that and continuing their hard work. I am so excited to be a part of this town and have my, cute little boy grow through the system, be it with Kinnear and Brookfield, and watch all of the programs that you guys have access to, watch him have access to those programs as well. Thanks.
Thank you for your opening statements. Now we will begin with our first question, starting just as we did. The first question is, the First Amendment to the United States Constitution protects the freedom of speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government. Despite this, we have many school systems banning books that serve as a form of expression for many of their readers. How would you deal with any proposed book bans that may go against your personal beliefs but could benefit specific minorities within the student body?
Oh man, Kayla, really the first question? Just kidding. Yes, so that's a great question, and I'm glad we're here. So, for everybody that doesn't know, I challenged a book this past spring, summer, and the great thing that came out from that was that now we have a process in place that we did not have before, where parents can choose to opt their child out of certain material. So, as far as First Amendment goes in regards to that book, 1A is not covered under that book according to numerous Supreme Court rulings, the Miller test being one, and a few other Supreme Court cases being secondary to that. So when it comes to vulgarity and obscenity and sexual preference and sexual obscenity, pornographic material is not covered under 1A. I know from where I stand, I do not want to teach 13-year-olds how to go on Grindr and meet adults, anonymous adults. I don't think that is correct to have in a school setting whatsoever. So again, that's where I stand on that. Anything outside of sexual obscenity, 1A covers all of that. The Miller test specifically relates to obscene material in a school, especially when it regards sexual obscenity. And the book that I challenged, and that's the only one that has come up at this point, I would stand firm in my decision on that. Thank you.
Would you mind just repeating the question, please?
Sure. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution protects freedom of speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government. Despite this, we have many school systems banning books that serves as a form of expression for many of their readers. How would you deal with any proposed book bans that may go against your personal beliefs but could benefit specific minorities within the student body?
Thank you. I think first we need to analyze and look at how it benefits the children and how it benefits the school and what the purpose of the book. I'm all for the First Amendment, freedom of speech. We should be able to express ourselves. That's what makes this country what it is. However, as Austin pointed out, there are certain things that really should be kept out of schools. And, I go back to the simple question, how does this benefit the students? Yes, students have a right to express themselves. You have a right to choose and read what you want to read. However, we don't display every single material possible in schools for that reason. I feel everyone has a right to choose what they want to read. However, displaying it in schools and showing it in a way that is obscene or something that's not appropriate, I don't know how that can benefit students. I'm not quite sure. So if it doesn't benefit the student, then no, it shouldn't be in the school. Thank you.
The two things that come to mind with anything that we have to make a decision on are respect and communication. So this goes right along those lines. We have to get everyone's voice heard because everyone has an opinion and everyone's opinion needs to be respected. So when it comes to any policy and any decision that we need to make, we need to get everybody on board and we have to respect everyone's opinions and come up with the best plan we can. I think that once we respect everybody and once we understand where we're coming from, we'll make a decision, and we have to keep in mind that the kids are important, and we have to keep in mind that we're not going to make rash decisions. We have to stay level-headed, and we can't blow things out of proportion, and we have to keep everyone's opinions and respect them as we go through.
So I find this question to be really exciting. Thank you for asking it. I'm against book bans. If you wanted to know how I feel on the issue, especially for kids. I think we need to listen to kids when we talk about books that are inappropriate or are especially helpful for some groups. We should ask the kids. This is a great chance for families to have conversations about what their comfort levels are. This is a great chance for parents to learn what's really happening in their children's lives, because sometimes they think they know, but they may not. This is a great chance for all of us to do more homework and read the books that are being challenged. I had the best summer of reading because I decided to read a lot of the books that are on the challenge list. They're amazing. You guys should check them out. They're really, really rich, including the one that was challenged earlier. I absolutely stand behind it. I think that in discussion with administrators, teachers, and other adults in the building and with kids, maybe even that book that upset some folks here could be helpful with guidance. So I'm against book bans.
Can I just say, these are such thought-through, well-prepared questions that make me so proud to be a part of this community. You guys have thought through this, and it makes me so excited. Can you repeat just that last part of the question? When it affects?
How would you deal with any proposed book ban that may go against your personal beliefs but could benefit specific minorities within the student body?
So that's the key to this question. How does it affect specific groups of people, and how are you alienating those groups of people? I also am against book bans. I feel very strongly that I can opt out of any situation where I don't want my child exposed to certain material, but it is not my job to say that you are not allowed to be exposed to that material. That's within your house and within your situation, whether or not you choose to speak to your parent. Like, it's not my job to make sure I control what you think you need. And it's so important to listen to our youth and to the different minority groups who say, this is who I am and this represents me. And this is important that people understand that this exists in the world. It may not be what I center my morality on or what I center who I am on, but it gives me empathy and compassion to understand who you are.
Thank you for your responses. Now we will go through the same thing, just in opposite order. The next question is, many students have expressed concerns over issues related to the physical state of our schools, the change in start time, and the need for mental health resources. As an elected member, what would your priorities be, and how would you include the voice of students?
So the answer is in the question. Many students have expressed concerns. I think it's really, really important for us to take that into consideration, to hear what you have to say and reevaluate if things aren't working, to understand that, you know, there are things that we decide on these boards that may or may not work in the long term. And it's important, as others have said, to listen to what you guys say, listen to your feedback. I also think it's important to sort of give it a chance. I will say that sometimes you have to have an uncomfortable growing pains, feel through the mess of it a little bit, and I think it's important to have a reciprocal conversation to make sure that what your concerns aren't things that we can kind of figure out how to adapt. But I think it's really, really important, as others have said, for you guys to come and talk to us, come to the board meetings, and let us know what's working and what's not, because if we don't know, I have a 9-year-old, I don't know what's gonna work for a high schooler. So it's important that you guys, feel comfortable expressing that and coming to the meetings.
Thanks. Could you just read the question again so I make sure that I don't go off on a tangent?
Yep. Many students have expressed concerns over issues related to the physical state of our schools, the change in start time, and the need for mental health resources. As an elected member, what would your priorities be, and how would you include the voice of students?
Right, well, I'll be honest, the first thing I thought of was, oh my God, the bathrooms, right? Like, my children would come home from school very unhappy with the condition of the bathrooms in the high school. I don't spend time in the high school. I don't know what the real life status of things is. Bob and I were walking through the community, talking to people. We learned that there were other things that he, as the chairman of the Board of Ed, was not aware of. So, it's incumbent on the board to elicit, opinions, but other people's experiences. But as Andy said, and as Stephanie just reiterated, we need to know from students what's going on. And then the board has got to work with, the Board of Ed has got to work with the Board of Finance, because there's no getting around what Nahid and Brian and Andy were saying, that we have to work in concert to balance affordability with long-term planning, emergencies, and then short-term needs. What's affordable, what will really improve students' lives. And so, teachers are doing their best, administrators are doing their best, but they don't know what you guys live every day. And so it's your job to get in and let them know.
The first thing that I thought about when I heard this question from Kayla is, one of the best things about teaching is the kids keep it real. And any kid that tells me anything, that is the most honest thing you'll ever, and the most refreshing piece of being a teacher. So kids don't sugarcoat anything. So the best thing, if you want to know what's going on in the schools, don't talk to anybody but the kids. Second thing, when I was advisor for the Youth Commission, I knew enough from my own kids, but it opened my eyes to hear the information that was shared by the Youth Commission members. And I remember at the time we had a Board of Ed liaison join our meetings, and that got the ball rolling, and it was the best thing because I know that our liaison brought the information back to the Board of Ed, and at the time that sparked my interest in doing what I'm running for right now. So I would love to be that, if I were to join the Board of Ed, I would love to be the liaison to help you guys out, because I think communication, as I mentioned before, is the best piece, and you guys are going to tell it like it is.
Can you just repeat it one more time so I don't miss anything either? Thank you.
Many students have expressed concerns over issues related to the physical state of our schools, the change in the start time, and the need for mental health resources. As an elected member, what would your priorities be, and how would you include the voice of the students?
Thank you. In my previous position, when I worked at the district level, that's kind of for the most part what I would do. I was supporting 38 high schools across the Bronx, where I would support with discipline, guidance, social emotional support. I would work with the school guidance counselors. And from that position, I'm now currently an assistant principal at a high school with at a campus with 6 high schools in it, where that's pretty much my daily job as I walk around and I try and solve all the problems of all the schools. And the first thing I do is I ask the students, because most of the problems, if not all of the problems that I dealt with at the district level, they were adult problems. And a lot of the times the problems were solved just by asking the kids and asking the students and asking the young adults and treating them like young adults and hearing their voice and hearing what it is they have to say. They'll tell you, as you mentioned, they're brutally honest, and they'll tell you straight up. They know who cares, they know who doesn't, they know who's there for them, they know who's there just to kill time or whatever it is that they're doing in the school. And they will tell you how it is, and the importance of the facilities and coming to a place where you're comfortable. And trying to, since I'm doing it now at the school level, working with the Board of Finance and working with everyone and working together in unison to solve the problems that we are facing in the school, including all of those things. Thank you.
Yeah, so with school infrastructure, that falls under the purview of the Board of Education. I believe we've failed there tremendously. We spent $80 million on a brand new school, which is great. For the cost of that, we could have fixed Wisconsin and this school as well. So that is something as a board we have to stay on top of. Obviously, from the students' perspective, the more insight we can hear from you guys, the better. So like everybody else has said, attend board meetings, write to the Board of Education, tell us how you're feeling, relate how you're feeling to us. Otherwise, sometimes we're just guessing it in the wind here. As far as the school start time, I've heard a mixed bag on that, whether it's good or bad. I know we just started doing that a few months back, so I think we still have to let that play out a little bit and see how it goes, but I do know some kids are getting on the bus at 6:30 in the morning, which is pretty early and causing an inconvenience at that part. And then to the mental health piece, it all comes back to pursuing academic excellence. If we're not doing that, our kids are facing a future that is going to be hyper-competitive, and if they don't have a purpose and the prerequisite skills to compete at that level, there will be even a greater mental health crisis because of lack of purpose. And so we'll go back to that book one more time. It is not book banning, as everybody says. You can purchase this at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you want. I'll sell you my copy if you would like. And, to stay in mental health, if we are promoting 13-year-olds to go onto Grindr and meet adults, we have a big problem that we have to come to facts with and face. This is not against anybody. We have to face that, and we have to have a real conversation about that. And if somebody is voting against that, I think that's somebody we should listen to a little more and have the voice of all the parents in Brookfield have a say about that. Because if we're promoting that, that is going to lead to a bigger problem down the road, guaranteed. Thank you.
Okay, now we will start with our closing statements, and instead of having you guys leave and come back, we'll just start with you guys. So we'll do the same thing, starting down at that end, coming back here. You guys will be granted 1 minute to conduct your closing statement, and then we will ask the Board of Finance to come up.
All right, awesome. So Regaining trust in our municipal government is key, especially on this Board of Education. We have to do that. We need new voices. We need different perspective. When I brought up diversity and inclusion earlier, I'm not sure if I said it, but what I say is from a thought perspective and from a professional experience perspective. We could have a board here with 7 women. We could have a board here with all teachers on it, all coming from the same background. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I just think we need a voice of people coming from a different lens, from a different life experience, from a different professional experience. We need to be more transparent and engage the public more. Part of the Board of Education's policy is PR, to engage the public. I feel we are failing in that massively right now, so we need to focus on that as well. If I am elected to the Board of Ed and lucky enough to be that person or one of those people, I will bring some more engagement to this Board of Education, a different lens, a different voice, more new ideas, a younger person who is actively involved in this community, who wants to serve and make this school better and perform at the best that we possibly can academically for every child in this school. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us up here tonight. I truly appreciated hearing what it is that we had to say. It's comfortable knowing that I'm doing exactly what it is I think I'm meant to do. I'm not exactly a politician. I don't feel that politics plays any role in education for this particular seat, I should say, for the education department. I feel our political affiliation on both sides is meaningless. I feel like it's our experience, which it sounds like we're all very experienced up here, and our knowledge in education that really matters. And the school that I'm currently working at, I just found out about a month ago, my grandmother actually attended that school and graduated in 1936. So it was a comforting feeling to truly know that when I landed a new job that I just started in September, it's really where I'm meant to be. And I feel like since God has led me here and led my family to Brookfield, I know that I'm in the right spot running for the Board of Ed. So thank you very much for hearing us out tonight. I appreciate it.
Yes, thanks again for having this event. First thing that came to mind was when I was Teacher of the Year last year, and in my interview, one of the questions is, what's the biggest issue in our district? And I think it's the same thing here. I think there's a disconnect between home and school, the parents and the teachers, the parents and the staff, and it didn't used to be like this. I've been here for 19 years, and there's just a different feel. And I hope that my experience and my level-headedness can bring the two pieces back together, because I know Brookfield can do better than it is doing right now, and I definitely feel like the communication has to improve, and people really just need to start working together instead of pointing fingers and blaming everybody else. And I think that's something I can offer on the Board of Ed.
I don't really have that much to say. I feel like we've said everything. We want to be, or I want to be, civil, responsible, engaged. There's a lot of work that comes with this job. I'm a person who does my homework. And I look forward to stewarding the resources of the community in this role. I think it's really important, and I don't take it lightly.
Similar to what Wendy said, I think that it's important to understand that this is a job that needs to be done thoughtfully with the youth in mind, with the idea that everyone really does have your best interest at heart, and we want you to succeed. And the way that we need to do that on the board is by working together to make sure that facilities are what they need to be, you guys are getting what you need, that parents feel heard, and that we really, as it's been said, can work together towards a common goal. I do also want to address the mental health issue again, because I didn't get to say this. I think there's a real concern. You guys lost a couple of years during COVID, and we just kind of gloss over that and think, okay, you're in high school now, and you're going to be adults, and you're going to go on with your lives. I feel like there's a hole there that can also be addressed at some point, and how is that affecting you, and where are the shortcomings, and how do you need to be supported? It's not just about the academics and what we have to offer. I think it's important to listen to what you guys need social emotionally as well, and how we can help with that. Thanks.
Thank you all. If you guys could exit the stage, and we can have the Board of Finance come.
I've been told I get the spotlight. It is a spotlight, jeez.
Okay, so same thing. We're going to start on the left side of the stage and work our way this way, and you would each get 1 minute for your closing statements. Thank you.
Sorry.
So when I tell people who know me that I'm running for an elected office, they're flabbergasted, because I am not a political person. In fact, when Bob and Steve approached me about this position, my first words were, well, I'm not a Democrat. Why do you want to talk to me? But they made it very clear that they were looking to put together a slate of the most competent people that they can find, leaders that can help bring Brookfield forward to where it needs to be. So this isn't about politics, this is about public service. And that's why, again, that's why I'm on the stage. I've built a lot of skills that I know will be perfect to help this Board of Finance and help this town get to where it wants to go in the future. That's why I'm here, and if that's what you're looking for, then help me consider me.
Thanks. To sum it up, why am I doing this? Why do I think this is important? I'm a taxpayer in the town, like most of you. I don't like to see waste. I've grown up in Connecticut. I'm a frugal Yankee. As a person on the Board of Finance, I would be looking for alternatives to spend less in certain areas so that we can spend more in other areas. I think it's really important to discern the difference between wants and needs, and that gets talked about a lot. But you know, you look at the new school and you look at a lot of the wonderful artwork and terrazzo floors and this, that, and the other thing, and you can't help but think, boy, wouldn't it be better to fix the bathrooms or fix the leaky roofs in this building? Things like that. I think that the number one thing that I would say is people need to be more involved. We have very low voter turnout. I'd like to see everybody voting. If you're not happy with the taxes, vote no. If you're happy with the taxes, vote yes. It's very simple. Thanks.
So I'm a big believer of learning and growing yourself. I think each one of us, you know, our community, our town, we need to grow day by day, get better day by day, and I think if we all, you know, contribute and put in our minds together, we can really make a difference. So I've been volunteering all my life. Parent coach for Odyssey of the Mind, you know, nonprofit, and lately I've been on the Zoning Board of Appeals. So my goal today is to share my learnings in my life and give back to the community. And Board of Finance to me is very exciting because it kind of is my 2 decades of work in some ways, because I've been managing my business and running a business for 20 years now, and this is all we've been doing, you know, managing finances, budgeting, growing. So I think I can bring my learnings, my life learnings to the town and contribute in a positive manner. So thank you.
Thank you. And now we can have the Board of Finance exit the stage and have the Board of Selectmen come up. Okay, now you guys will be granted your 1 minute to make your closing statements, starting all the way with Ms. Carr and then moving this way. Thank you.
All right, thank you all again so much. This has been a great evening spent together, and thank you to all the candidates for stepping up on both sides of the aisle, or if you're unaffiliated, wherever you fall politically. I think it's truly important that we do come together and we do treat one another with dignity, respect, and kindness, and all of the things that make towns wholesome and good. And I've always said that every decision that I would ever make as an elected official would be for the betterment of Brookfield. And every single day, with every decision, every negotiation, every single ounce of my energy, time that I spend considering facets of town, it is for the betterment of all residents of our town. And I wish everybody the best of luck, and I look forward again to learning more about all of you. Feel free to come by Town Hall anytime.
Thank you. I do also want to thank the Youth Commission. You guys have done a really good job. I think this has been incredibly helpful for those here and who are watching on TV. You know, when I first made a decision to rerun for First Selectman, my main goal was to put together a team of people who were intelligent, capable, kind, and civil, who would work for the entire town. I don't really care if you're unaffiliated. I don't really care if you have other political motivations. What I cared about, and I think Bob will agree with me, when we spoke and I talked to Bob about running with me, is doing exactly what's right for Brookfield. Because once you join a board, and I think almost every board member will say this, your party affiliation goes away. Our boards work together. They don't look down the aisle and say, oh, he's a Republican or she's a Democrat. What they do is do their jobs. So what you can do to better Brookfield is to hire people like our team who have the skill sets to do the work. Thank you very much.
You know, I was thinking about what to say in my closing remarks, and I want to talk to the Youth Commission directly and to all the students who watch on this. Back in 1972, oh heaven forbid, it was 1972, I joined and helped create a group down in Wilton, where I grew up, called the Wilton Youth in Politics. It was just like the Youth Commission. It was get involved, understand civics, understand how government works, understand the political process. And I look back on that as one of the strongest experiences of my life, because I learned how to advocate. I learned how to navigate committees and complex organizations, and I learned how to volunteer. You guys are doing great, great stuff, and I just urge you to take it to the next level and advocate, right? You know, go get your opinions of your friends and classmates and the adults around you and bring it forward, because you know what, when you're 68 years old like I am, you will have found yourself volunteering for your town and doing good things. So thank you for everything you're doing.
That concludes our candidate forum. Reminder to all students that attended tonight to write your name on the music stand in the back to be granted your community service hours. Special thank you to Daniel Secor for setting up the live stream for us, and thank you for everybody else for attending. Have a good night.